What's up guys, Visual Maximus here, welcome to something new on my channel inspired by Comic Book Cast 2, so props to them. Although, let's get straight into it. Basically, this is the Death of Wolverine miniseries complete review. That's issue 1, 2, 3, and 4 review in one full video. So without out of the way, let's get straight into it. So, Death of Wolverine issue 1 started on a very good note. Remember, this is wrote by Charles Soule, an up-and-coming writer who has been writing some amazing things. I mean, read some titles like Inhumans and you'd probably have the same opinion on Charles Soule as me. But that's not all. Charles Soule has never actually written Wolverine prior to this, so he's going into a character that he could very well mess up. In fact, X-Men The Last Stand, I know it's a bit different, but the reason X-Men The Last Stand kind of messed up was because Brett Ratner, a completely new director, came on board. He didn't know what to do with the X-Men franchise, so to speak, so Charles Soule could have just messed it up as well. He had no prior writing to do with the Wolverine character. So anyway, with that being said, the Death of Wolverine issue 1 starts off very, very good. We see that Wolverine is, I believe Wolverine's in Canada, and what we actually realize is that he's trying to find a cure for his disease, so to speak, that he has no healing factor. He could very well die, and this is the first time Wolverine is a mortal man in flesh and blood. He could die any moment, but he's not accustomed to it. You have to remember, Wolverine's over 100 years old, so this sort of thing for him is just really weird. So what does he want? He wants his healing factor back. He goes to Tony Stark, he goes to Bruce Banner, I believe, he goes to Reed Richards, he goes to Hank Pym, he goes to pretty much this, and Hank McCoy, sorry, he goes to all of these guys. They're basically the brains of the Marvel Universe. He goes to them and none of them could actually find a way. Very tragic and very, very sad. So we see that people are after Wolverine, and people want to kill Wolverine. They want to kill Logan. And the first one to sort of try and do this is a man called Nuke, a zealous villain, but it's so great that he's in there. They just put him in there, and it works very, very well, because one thing comics are great at is they've got such a wide catalogue of villains. Sometimes you ask yourself, why don't they add such a good villain like Green Goblin, an A-list villain? He doesn't fit maybe, but he's a good villain nonetheless. He could just appear. But no, they opt for the zealous villains. I like that a lot, in fact. So, what we realise by the end of the issue is Wolverine's on a hunt to find out who actually is targeting him. So, by Death of Wolverine issue 2, we see how Wolverine is actually in Madripoor, out of all places, and he tracks down the Viper. Now, the Viper is the one who has this sort of challenge for the world's mightiest assassins to come and kill Wolverine. Only Wolverine is taken to a duel to Sabretooth, his long arc nemesis, only he gets defeated by him quite drastically for Kitty Pryde to come in and save him. It was actually very, very harsh in my opinion, but it makes total sense that Logan is nothing that he is before, and in effect, even though Kitty Pryde came in and beat the crap out of Sabretooth later on, or she was gonna try and beat the crap out of him, Sabretooth for once in his life beat his arch nemesis, only for a few days later, or a few weeks later, however time Death of Wolverine is set in, he dies. So what the hell is Sabretooth gonna do next? That's the question of the hour. So Death of Wolverine issue 3, and we see Death of Wolverine with one last team up between Kitty Pryde and Logan, of course, and this is the start of the tragic sort of period within these final 2 comics, and you can finally see that Wolverine is giving into the idea that death is around the corner for him. Death is something that, while unexpected, it could happen to him any time. He's a mortal man at this point. He can get beat by pretty much anyone. Wolverine is nothing but a last segment of what he used to be, and that's the best way of putting it. Wolverine used to be that badass, fierce superhero with a healing factor. He no longer can be that same person without the definitive power set that he has. A healing factor, one might say that his claws are his definitive healing factor, but no, in my opinion, his healing factor is who he is. Without his healing factors, his claws can't even come out. I mean, yeah, technically they can come out, but once they come out, it hurts him very, very badly. But Death of Wolverine was one last tragic issue, one very emotional issue. It was a great issue, and it makes you think that, boy, Death of Wolverine issue 4 is around the corner, and Wolverine is actually going to be dying in a few weeks. And I exactly remember thinking that, so it was very, very sad. Now, going up to Death of Wolverine issue 4, which came out just today, it was a very sad issue. We see how Wolverine finds the man that put him into Weapon X, Cornelius, only for Cornelius is making a whole armada of Weapon X projects, basically. That's the best way of saying it. And he no longer needs Wolverine after he says that Wolverine has no advantage for him. He has no healing factor. So Wolverine battles somebody called Major Sharp, one of Cornelius's experiments, so to speak. And we see that Wolverine, in effect, before he lets Cornelius bond all of his experiments with adamantium, he takes the adamantium upon himself and disposes his full body of adamantium and dies in the sunset. Not before dying though, he sees his life or we as the readers see his life, and it pulls on the heartstrings very, very much. You can tell that you're going to miss Wolverine. I mean, you see the many lives that Wolverine's had in his life, and the many lives he's portrayed, from being Jean Grey's lover, to being Wolverine, to being Logan, to being in the army, to being in Japan, a samurai, a renegade. It's a very, very tragic story. So, with Death of Wolverine basically wrapping up, I have to give the whole miniseries an 8.5 out of 10. So there you go, guys. Like the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, share the video, subscribe for more, and peace.